Music legend Sir Elton John is one of the world's highest-selling artists of all time. But did you know that the Rocketman owes much of his success to songwriting partner and genius Bernie Taupin?
Well, in this clip from the 1994 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Awards, we can see an embarrassed Elton John accepting an award he, well, seems to indicate he doesn't fully deserve. In his remarkable acceptance speech, Elton admits bashfully he had help writing his songs, well, we know that. So he invites the songmaker, Bernie, onto the stage. Bernie Taupin joins us now, live from LA. A very good morning to you, Bernie. Well, I mean, you know, as Sir Elton says, without you, there would be no Elton John. This was a proper 50-50 partnership, wasn't it? Morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, it's always been that way from day one, all the way back to 1967. So it's almost, I think, 56 years ago. But it's funny seeing that clip, considering that I just got one of my own a couple of weeks ago. So now I've got two of them.
Yeah, finally, frankly. And Bernie, just tell us, you know, many people, most people, all people love your songs, but many people will have seen Rocketman and the ups and downs behind your partnership. Do you remember distinctly the moment you met Elton John, Reg Dwight as he was then?
Absolutely. Yeah, back in 1967, it was at Dick James Publishing House in New Oxford Street. And I'd answered an ad in the New Musical Express, which Elton, or Reg as he was at that time, had answered the same ad. And a gentleman called Ray Williams had put us together. And because simply, as the story goes, you know, Elton said to Ray that he didn't know how to write lyrics, but he wanted to write songs. And for me, it was vice versa. So in his wisdom, he put the two of us together, and we met up at Dick James's publishing office. And we basically got on from day one. I mean, it was just kismet. It was meant to be. And we got on like a house on fire. We bonded on music and just a love of all things, from literature to movies. And, you know, as he's always said, I was kind of the brother that he was looking for. But, yeah, I mean, I think music was the common denominator. It was the bond that put us together. But I loved him from day one. And I think he felt the same way about me. We were kind of loners, and I think it was just something that was destined, that was meant to be.
He said, Bernie, that you were the glue that kept him together. What were the moments when you most felt that Elton was in danger of falling apart, and how did you manage to be his glue?
Well, I think he's being overly generous there. I think there were several individuals that were involved. But at the same time, I think it was all down to him. He was the one that made the decision to change his life. And all I could do, I mean, it was hard. It was an uphill battle. And there were times that I felt I was losing that battle. But I think the most important thing was I was there in the aftermath of him going into rehab. I was the first person to go in and see him. And I think my job was to instill in him the confidence to come back again. I think, you know, when he was free of all the addictions, it actually made him nervous. He wasn't sure if he could do what he had done before.
It's a beautifully written book, Bernie. It's got huge numbers of anecdotes, and there's a lot of humility in the book. And some, you know, I just love the idea that your song or Don't Go Breaking My Heart were written by you in like 10 minutes. And I mean, presumably they've been funding your life ever since. But with authors, they always think really hard about the title of the book. And the book is subtitled Life, Music, Elton And Me, but the title is Scattershot. Why did you call the book Scattershot? What does that tell us about you and your life?
Well, I think it's simply because the book is non-linear. It's not written in an A to Z sort of sensibility. So it jumps around geographically and it jumps around in time. So I think anybody who's read the book or is about to read the book needs to know that, because it is sort of all over the place, but at the same time, I think it makes complete sense.
Isn't it also a bit of humility on your part, though, that actually, you know, Scattershot, you know, you wrote a bunch of songs, a couple of them, you know, happen to be like massive global hits. But isn't it you being too humble? I mean, you were a genius writer. You wrote, you know, if you see, you know, concerts, the reason people sing Elton songs is because they know your words. I mean, you wrote the memorable words, and I just wonder whether it's also just a reflection of your humility.
Well, I don't know if it's about humility. I mean, there's certainly something to be said, what you were just saying there, about going to a concert and seeing different generations, everybody from grandmothers to mothers to daughters and sons, you know, seeing front rows full of 20-somethings singing all the words. And that in itself is a blessing, and I can't ask for more.
Bernie, just tell us about that songwriting process, because as Ed mentions, a couple of your songs you say you wrote, it just took 10 minutes to write. It seems remarkable that...
Candle in the Wind was one. Amazing.
Well, and Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and we've already mentioned your song, which I have to say is one of my all-time favourites. Just such a beautiful song, and you talk about the fact that you and Elton turned a corner with that song. Can you just talk us through the process of coming up with that and how you write it and then Elton goes to the piano and is inspired to come up with the melody?
Well, OK, there's several answers there because there's several questions in what you've just been asking. But the thing is that when you talk about a song being written in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, there's a slight bit of urban legend to that. I'm not sure that I wrote your song in 10 minutes. It may have been 15 minutes or half an hour. All I can tell you is that it was a short time period, in the same way as the story about Don't Go Breaking My Heart. But for the most part, I mean, it takes me a while. You know, I'll come back and revisit songs, and some songs have been written over several years. I'll come up with bits and pieces, put them away, and pull them out again after some time and revisit them. So they're all approached in a different fashion and a different time frame. So, and as everybody knows, you know, I complete the lyrics first, and then Elton works on them after. But you just mentioned Candle in the Wind. I mean, Candle in the Wind wasn't written in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. It was probably approached again and again over several weeks or several months.
Yeah.
Well, in my defence, Bernie, it does say in the book, Sheila fried up a couple of eggs, slotted in some toast and brewed 3 cups of tea while I wrote something called Your Song. I don't think it took me more than 10 minutes, but its eventual release would traverse decades, becoming our signature song, and in the minds of many, our first bona fide classic.
And Don't Go Breaking My Heart, you say you wrote while drinking by a pool. I seem to remember.
I wasn't drinking by a pool. I think I was by the bar, actually. But
by the bar of the pool. That
was written sort of in the middle of the night, because he was recording in Toronto and I was working in Barbados, and he called me and said, "Oh, we've got this track. Could you put something together?" And I was a bit deep in my cups at the time, and so I sort of had to stick my head in an ice bucket and figure out what I was going to do. And that was written very rapidly. I remember calling him back and saying, "Well, I've just written this, try this," and hence you know, we had our first #1 in England, I think, with it.
I love it. Bernie, it's just gorgeous talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
for those classics.
And thank you for staying up so late to talk to us, because we said good morning. For you, it's late at night in Los Angeles.
Yeah, well, my daughter told me not to make that joke. So, you know, good morning to you and good night to me and whatever. Yeah. So,
well, we appreciate it. Thank you. And let the urban myths continue.
You let them continue.
Thank you so much, Bernie. Great to see you.
It's a great read, Bernie. Thank you.
Scattershot.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Bernie Taupin.
Have a good night.
The real story, available now.